You're now live with the greatest WWE Intercontinental Champion of all time, the Honky Tonk Man. Shake, rattle, and roll.
Welcome back to Shake Rattle Roll, fans. Honky, I think it's time to give Sergeant Slaugher a call.
Okay, let's see if we can get Sarge on here.
It's going to be absolutely awesome. We've been waiting for this all week. Okay, just putting the call through now.
Hello?
Is this Sergeant Slaughter?
As you were, Maggot.
As you were, Maggot. I love that. I was wondering if you were going to come on there and say, drop down and give me 25, Private.
I would have, but I don't know if you can do them or not.
Well, no, I can't do them at all. I can tell you that right now. And what a pleasure it is to have you on. And the fans have been so excited. And, gosh, we've been waiting. You kept putting us off, and you know, kind of like, I don't know. You're pulling the strings right now, Sarge. You're the man.
I was pulling the strings because Vince McMahon was telling me I had to go to Raw a couple Mondays, so I wasn't available.
Yeah, I know you've been quite busy. You do so much work with those guys, and it was such a great pleasure to see you at the Cauliflower Alley and to reminisce with you for a few minutes and listen to the wonderful speech you gave. And I'm so proud you were honored there.
Well, it was a great time, a great honor, and it was even more fun to see you talk also, because I'd never seen you speak before like that, and the way you ended it was pretty hard to follow. And I think you kind of stole the show there. Show. I think you and I and Roddy Piper got to get on the road and do our act together.
Yes, I know you. For all the fans out there, Sergeant Slaughter's talking about the Roddy Piper comedy tour, and he mentioned something to me about it. If we all three got together and then did a floor show, it would be pretty funny, and I think it would be fantastic.
I think it would be. There's a lot of stories to tell, and a lot of laughs, and it'd be a good time. I think that people would really enjoy it, because the people that would come to watch it would be wrestling fans, so they would understand and want to hear those stories.
Yes, they would. And, you know, as I said earlier, before you came on, Hall of Famer you are, Cauliflower Alley honoree now,
Yes.
Lifetime Achievement Award. I mean, what all, you got everything going, and you still got the G.I. Joe thing. And I want you to let us know how the G.I. Joe thing really came about, because that catapulted you into superstardom.
Yes. Well, I was contacted by Hasbro Toys. Their attorney knew my attorney, and they were trying to think of some way to bring me into the G.I. Joe cartoon. So we went and had a meeting up in Pawtucket, Rhode Island, and I basically told them that I'm real live G.I. Joe, and they kind of looked at me and said, you know, you really are, and so let's sit down and do something. So we went back. I had the camouflage limo up there, and they were pretty impressed, and I went back to the WWE, Vince McMahon, and told him the story, and he said, that's great, Sarge, but I won't be able to let you do it because of conflicting toy companies. And I said, well, what can we do? And he said, not much we can do. Either you go with them or you stay with me. And I shook his hand, and I said, well, it's nice working with you. I can always be a wrestler, but I can't always be a G.I. Joe, real American hero, and an action figure, and animated hero to millions of people all around the world. So he wasn't too happy about that, and we had some headbutts about it a few times, but we finally went our separate ways, and I went into the Hasbro toy line and And my first 3 years, we were the top selling boys toy for the toy maker Hasbro.
Yeah, and you know, Sarge, you mentioned that and it being a conflict with what Vince was doing, and sometimes you know, Vince is very protective of all the things that he has and all the things he's accomplished and all of his wrestlers, and a lot of ways you can't blame him. But with you being like me from the old school days, you saw an opportunity, like you said, to reach out to millions of fans around the world, around the globe, and be a G.I. Joe character and do the things that you did. And like you just said, you always go back to wrestling. That's not the problem. And plus, once you're the G.I. Joe character, then Vince is going to really want you to come back even more.
Yes. Well, I thought we could do both because at that time, as you know, Honky, we were on fire with Hogan doing his thing, and I was with the Iron Sheik, and we were going all over with you, the Intercontinental Championship, and I mean, it was just on fire, and he didn't really want to lose that, and I could understand that, as we all are businessmen in this business, and he has his business, and our bodies basically are our business, and our characters. So I just had to make a big decision. I lost a lot of money by not being in the first 7 WrestleManias, but I think without the monetary amounts, I still gained in the long run because of the just like in Cauliflower Alley Club, I got the Lifetime Achievement Award for work I did outside the ring to bring notoriety to professional wrestling, and that's what that award is about. And along with being a real American hero and a G.I. Joe action figure, I visited people all over the world. I went all over the world, Japan and Korea and Germany and all over Europe, selling the G.I. Joe product. It wasn't just an American product; it was everywhere, and it just was one of those things where I went to children's hospitals, I went to veterans hospitals, I went back to the AWA because they would allow me to wrestle and promote G.I. Joe, and it was just a win-win situation. I just wish I could have did it with the WWE because I would like to have been in those first 7 WrestleManias. I made that decision, and that's the decision I had to live with, and I'm happy with my decision.
Yes, and I think you made the right one, and you made the right one personally and professionally, because for the fans that might be calling in from around the world, in different places around the world, and listening to us, G.I. Joe was a military character that was created by the comic books and even by the military, and has been around for, you know, decades. Several. You probably know the history on G.I. Joe a lot more than I do. And for you to be the spokesman and be that character that was in those cartoons and on the cartoon show, and be that action figure and the figurehead, I mean, I don't know of any other person that's touched as many people as that character, G.I. Joe, and you.
Right. It kind of, I'm sure it shocks you as it does me, walking down the street and people yell out, "Hey, Honky," or "Hey, Sarge." Our characters are you know, they're endless characters. I don't mean endless. They just they were characters that just don't die out, and people still recognize us. You know, even though we aren't on television every week, and we aren't mentioned every 10 minutes on a show, but our characters just had that longevity that doesn't happen anymore, because our characters were different than anybody else. And you know, if you look at characters today in professional wrestling, they kind of look like the fans in the audience. They got tattoos, and they got the earrings, and they got the hairdos that bald heads. Everybody's got a bald head, and unfortunately, some of us can't grow hair, so we have to have a bald head. But it's just something that you know, like the Roddy Pipers and the Macho Man and Hulk Hogan and Jimmy Superfly. I could name 100 of them, but they all looked different. I mean, they were all different characters and all wrestled differently.
I was telling some people I did a store over in a collectible store over in Staten Island, New York on Saturday afternoon, and the people said the same thing you were saying, and my response to them was, you and I and our group of guys, we were all superheroes. We were those action figures. We were those cartoon characters.
Right. Yeah.
And I think that's what. That's above. Go ahead, Sarge.
We lived that life. We really didn't have any choice. We were put on the road, sometimes 70, 80 days in a row without a day off, and twice on Saturdays, twice on Sundays. I remember wrestling 14 times in a week, and when you're in that type of a character, it almost becomes you. You live it, and you all become family and brothers and sisters because you're with each other more than you are your own family. But it was easy to take that character and put it back in the suitcase after we were done and be ourselves. And as we traveled, we had a lot of fun, but we weren't the characters outside the ring like they are now.
And you're absolutely right. And I've said this, and you were too. You had a whole career, as you spoke at the Cauliflower Alley. You had a whole career before you went to the WWE. You were in the AWA. You were in the Charlotte territory. You were all over these other places, Sergeant Slaughter. And you guys, I can remember when you guys were in Charlotte, and I was in down in Florida and Memphis, and then up in Calgary for Stu Hart. You guys in Charlotte were doing much better business than the old WWF was doing up in New York. You guys had all the talent there in Charlotte.
Yes. It's amazing. Sometimes you get with a group of guys that just click. You don't form a clique. You just have a good time, and everybody likes each other, and everybody enjoyed watching each other. And we were storytellers, and you're one of the best storytellers of all time, as our era was. That's what we did. We told stories. We did our matches so people could follow that story. And every week there was an addition to the story. Now it goes so fast that it's hard to follow it. If you don't watch it every week, you miss out on a few things, and you're lost. And we just happen to, have the right characters and the right guys in that territory, and that ended up being in the WWE later on. We had it in the AWA, we had it in Charlotte, we had it in the WWE, and it was fun to go to work, and we just enjoyed each other, and there was no jealousy, and there was no cliques, and it was just a lot of fun.
We had J.J. Dillon on last week, and the week before I had Jerry Jarrett, and he said exactly the same thing you just said. The reason that it was so successful is because everyone had fun and everybody clicked together.